In previous videos, I have spoken out against the grand silence of certain MAGA prelates in the face of the many atrocities of the Trump regime. I reported on the membership of Cardinal Dolan and Bishop Barron on Trump's Religious Liberty Commission and how proudly Archbishop Cordileone announced his appointment to the advisory board of the same commission. I warned of how participation in the commission was going to lead to religious oppression rather than freedom. In the past couple of weeks since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the path on the way to religious oppression has become even clearer. The dogma by which the MAGA cultist lives is the dogma of blind loyalty and fealty to Donald Trump. Every action of the president is purely based on how it benefits himself and builds up his ego. His approach to immigration, climate change, public assistance programs, public health, education, aid to starving children in foreign nations, and global wars has resulted in the redirection of funds to benefit an oligarchy of the few most wealthy people in the United States. Trump's government has been hell-bent on implementing Project 2025, which aims to transform the United States into a despotic, white supremacist Christian nationalist monarchy with Trump as its king. Coming along for this ride is a cadre of MAGA-friendly Catholic U.S. bishops, supported by a small group of wealthy Pope Francis, Pope Leo-hating donors, such as Tim Bush and his notorious Napa Institute. These bishops, including my own Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone of the Archdiocese of San Francisco, issues no statements in opposition to President Trump regarding the mistreatment of brown-skinned migrants, his discontinuation of USAID, cutting food assistance programs, his dismantling of environmental programs, to say nothing of his notorious criminal history of adultery, rape, deceit, and fraud. Other than the neglect of saying what should have been said in condemning Trump's actions, there are the few statements in which these prelates echo Trump's sentiments without an ounce of irony or shame. In the past week since the horrific shooting death of Charlie Kirk, two of Trump's Religious Liberty Commission members have spoken up in a manner that cannot be described as anything other than astounding. Both Bishop Robert Barron and Timothy Cardinal Dolan have praised Charlie Kirk as if he were a Christian hero. Barron spoke of Kirk's alleged devotion to truth, and Dolan compared him to the Apostle St. Paul. In both expressions of praise, I'm finding myself hard-pressed to locate any real evidence of true Christian values in Kirk's publicly expressed views. Kirk openly condemned Pope Francis for his catechesis on the treatment of migrants, claiming that the Holy Father was a Marxist, which is essentially declaring him a heretic. Kirk was openly hateful of people of color, asserting the tired old stereotype of black people being inferior in intelligence and abilities. We must also not forget his obscene reaction to the attempted murder of Paul Pelosi when he called for a patriot to bail the perpetrator out of jail. Charlie Kirk was a harbinger of hatred. Full stop. I find Dolan's comparison to St. Paul to be incredibly absurd. Kirk's white nationalist beliefs, which portray him as suspicious of anyone from outside U.S. borders, make him ill-qualified for such a comparison. The Apostle Paul radically pushed the idea that people from outside of the Jewish faith were welcome to join the Christian church without submitting to the Mosaic law and rituals, including circumcision. For this reason, Paul has been revered as the apostle to the Gentiles. Kirk, on the other hand, was the demagogue to the closed white race. So how does the suspicious silence of these prelates to Trump atrocities, alongside the praise of Charlie Kirk, indicate a clear road to religious oppression in today's United States? The clue is found in the recent attempt at the cancellation of the Jimmy Kimmel Show. It has been no secret that Donald Trump has been hell-bent on silencing anyone who dare criticize or make fun of him. For years, he attacked everyone, particularly comedians, who satirized him or dared to point out absurdities in his behavior. During his 2024 campaign, Trump promised revenge against his enemies. In the 8 months since the inauguration, Trump has actively been trying to accomplish this by various means. As media corporations apply for FCC approval of mergers, the Trump regime has exerted pressure on key media markets to part ways with two wildly successful late-night hosts. First, Stephen Colbert back in July, and very recently Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel's attempted cancellation happened to coincide with the murder of Charlie Kirk. This tragedy has been co-opted by right-wing leadership to facilitate a morbid campaign to own the libs by demanding that Kirk be eulogized in media posts that suit their mercurial demands. Kimmel got caught in that trap by making a nothing burger comment on his show that ultimately made fun of Trump's callous reaction when he quickly changed the subject and spoke of his vanity project ballroom instead. Dolan and Barron understood the assignment. If they were to remain in the good graces of his Lord King Pedo Taco Squeaky Tanks, then they had to hop to and lay on thick the ridiculous claims that characterized Charlie Kirk as Mother Teresa's holy kid brother. They obeyed in advance. They capitulated. Mission accomplished. In previous videos, I have posted two shocking photographs from the 1930s featuring bishops rendering the Nazi salute. Who knows at the time what the bishops were thinking when they participated in that now notorious salute? Did they believe they were helping to save themselves or their flocks from religious persecution by showing allegiance? Nearly 100 years later, we have seen how fatal is capitulation. The Catholic Church has been criticized for not doing enough to speak out against the attempted extermination of the Jews by Adolf Hitler. What I have learned is that in Northern European countries where priests condemned the actions of the Nazis, priests were rounded up and executed in the streets, and many more Jews from that area faced deportation and death. In Rome, where the Pope was careful about what he said, Jews were being hidden in monasteries, convents, and even in the Vatican itself, resulting in the prevention of the majority of Roman Jews facing the same fate as those in Northern Europe. In 2020 hindsight, perhaps the whole Holocaust could have been entirely avoided had all Christian clergy, including Catholic, had more forcefully spoken up against the growing racism and anti-Semitism present in the Nazi movement when it was still in its infancy. It is hard for us to get into the minds of the people at that time and dictate what they should have done better. However, in our own time, we have the benefit of historical study, which helps us understand how once free countries got swallowed up by despotic, totalitarian governments. In today's America, we should know better. especially people of faith. Christian martyrs are honored for standing steadfast in their faith in the face of torture and death. In many cases, these martyrs chose to worship Christ rather than an emperor or other despotic ruler. Capitulation was not an option. Cardinal Dolan and Bishop Barron praising Charlie Kirk and the failure of Archbishop Cordileone to call out President Trump for his cruel policies are cowardly demonstrations of capitulation. I suppose they may claim that they are saving Catholic churches and institutions from losing tax-exempt status. Many people scream, "Tax the churches," which makes a person like me scared. The subject of another video. Those who applaud this possibility should understand that in the present climate, the MAGA mega churches would probably maintain their tax-exempt status. The possibility that diocesan bishops, religious superiors, heads of Catholic organizations would be required to sign a loyalty oath to the President of the United States is no longer beyond reality. Imagine Catholic charities facing harassment from the Trump regime for its services to brown-skinned migrants. Trump has already granted permission for ICE agents to make arrests at places of worship. Back in July, the Bishop of San Bernardino suspended the obligation to attend Mass on Sundays and holy days throughout his diocese in order to protect the faithful from possible abduction by ICE at church. The Trump regime can hardly claim to be in favor of religious liberty if its policies are interfering with the free exercise of religion by placing a bishop in a position where he must alter religious regulations regarding worship. What may be worrying for MAGA bishops are the bits and pieces of the interview with Pope Leo conducted by Elise Allen of Crooks. It has been reported that in the interview, Pope Leo called out President Trump and Vice President Vance on certain issues, particularly on immigration. I am sure when Allen's papal biography hits bookstores, there will be massive blowback coming out of the White House, which may be quite explosive. In the past couple of weeks, the freedom of speech, protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, has been compromised by the fascist actions of the FCC. There is every reason to believe that Trump will not hesitate to prohibit free exercise of religion, also guaranteed by the First Amendment. For many Christian groups, including Catholic communities, the practice of our religious faith is more than just being allowed to attend religious services in private places of worship. Our faith compels us to feed the poor and welcome the stranger. Any attempt on the part of the Trump White House to hamper these activities violate our religious beliefs. It should be clear to all of us that capitulation should never be an option. The bishops must stand with Pope Leo on behalf of the poor and marginalized and not pay homage to a person who was a cruel demagogue simply to placate a would-be king. What I have to say in this video and in several other recently posted videos is of critical importance. All of our liberties, religious and civil, are under attack. My audience is small, but my message is great, and it is important for my message to get out. Please help by supporting me and my channel by giving this video a like. Leave a positive comment and feel free to share this video. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. I just recently started a new GoFundMe campaign. The link is posted in the description of this video. A full explanation of my needs is provided on my GoFundMe page. If you can help me, I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, know that all of you are in my prayers. Peace be with you.